back home now, finally play some games here?
Well, we are glad to, be back home, get off that road, get us, I say, some practice time. We got these holidays coming up again after Wednesday's game. But it is good to be off that long, extended road trip where you travel so much, you don't feel like you get the proper practice time to really get yourself better. And again, this past week was a kind of unusual road trip where you go from coast to coast. You do it, commercially, and you lose a day each time you go. So to answer your question, yes, we're glad to be back home and be off that long, extended road trip.
Especially whenever you're trying to continue to develop your team and figure things out. Just how much of an effect does that actually have whenever you have a month-long trip like that?
Well, again, we won't make no excuses for playing home on the road. But if you're asking me, would you rather be at home, play some games, and be at home where you can practice more consistently and do all that? Absolutely, 100%. Because when you're just playing games like this past week, you travel all day Monday. Tuesday you have preparation for the Wednesday game, but it's not like you get to choose your practice time. You practice at 6:30 at night. So with that said, you have to prepare for that opponent, and you don't get to prepare for yourself as much. Play Wednesday, travel all day Thursday. You get to Detroit at whatever time it was. We got the hotel, Zach, 9 o'clock at night. Leave at 4:30 out of San Francisco, or it's just a long day. Friday then, you lay around, you practice again at 6:30 at night, and you play the next day at 2. So you can't go in that gym and I guess you could, and just kill your team for about 2.5, 3 hours, worrying about yourself getting better. It's just not time for it. Like I say, you got to practice for that opponent. And so getting back home, having some practice time yesterday was a good day of practice, and today we'll utilize again what we can, even though it's a quick turnaround preparation against a very good Ohio University team.
Your thoughts on Ohio?
They're really good. Most people had them picked to win the MAC, which is a good league. I think they won 24 games last year, 24-8, something like that. What was the record?
Said they won 25.
25 and what? 4 starters back, experienced team. We'll go against one of the better big guys we've played against. His versatility, shoots the 3, 6'10", 250, scores around that block. Experienced guy and a really, really good point guard. And some shooters in. They're 2 guy and their 4 guy can really shoot it. I think one of them's made 33s. The 2 guard and the 4 guys made 24 threes. And their 5 guys made 15. As a 6'10" center. So got great depth, play 8 people, good rhythm. They're really good.
Coach, you talked about that road stretch and everything that went on, just the turnaround, all that. What did you learn?
Well, again, I don't know if we had to be on the road to learn some things, because once you play that game, home or away, you learn some things. But it's very obvious. It's never easy playing on the road. I don't care who you're playing. And in our situation, we're trying to, figure this team out still, things that we can't do. Or maybe we figured that out, trying to figure out ways to help us hide things we don't do now. Trying to figure that out better. Then, at the same time now in the last week, trying to probably implement 2 new bodies into the flow of different things. Getting Jabari back and, Willie's back on the team. Trying to implement that some and, figure out how they fit. And again, with Jabari, he's kind of still trying to figure out what he can really do in some areas. I know he brings some toughness to the team. He brings really good effort. And again, the more you see him, we'll figure out more things he can do. But To answer your question, you play against different styles. I think people are figuring us out a little bit more. We're starting to get more pressure on our guards and our wings, denying the ball and pressuring us a little bit more. And again, we got to make adjustments to that so we can get the ball entered without turning it over, because we've had some bad turnovers, and our turnovers most time end up 2 points at the other way. It's not like we turn it over throwing out of bounds. We do that some, but a lot of our turnovers are those live ball turnovers, out there from the free throw line to the half court line. And when those turnovers are happening, most time you're at a disadvantage in defensive transition, and we're giving up way too many easy baskets that way.
You mentioned at the end of the Detroit game, just it was a lack of effort, I guess, that sort of let Detroit get rolling there, I guess, on the defensive side. As a coach, you're still looking for that consistent effort throughout. I mean, just how do you...
Well, effort comes just two ways. Playing hard and playing smart is two different things. I mean, you got to be able to react to a game of basketball. You got to see next play happen before it happens. You can't run down the court as hard as you can run, which is great effort, and that's first part of it. But you got to sprint down there all you can, but also know where I got to put my body in relationship to that ball and that man. Where you're coming back in zone, and I'm supposed to be on the wing. Well, you can't run to rim, even though you make great effort getting back. So it's a combination of, taking guys that can give you some effort, but also put them in a game. Guys can translate that into the ability to think and play the game and put their bodies in the right position while that game's being moved. That game's moving. The game don't wait on you. You got to react. And a game of basketball is a quick reaction thing, and you don't have time to think. You got to react.
You also mentioned just how you're trying to stay patient with things as you enter, I think, these last two games before conference starts. Is there any sense of urgency to reach a certain benchmark maybe before conference, or is it still just the grind throughout the season, so patient?
Our urgency is always the same. Our urgency is, we don't like losing games. My patience comes a little bit of understanding kind of where we're at and some things we're trying to overcome. But, there's urgency every game we play. None of us likes, the outcomes of any games that we don't win. I do understand that, we came off a game at Indiana State but we all felt great about coming out of it. We thought we went and won on the road against a really good team. A team that had lost some games, but just came off one of their bigger wins. For the best win of the season for sure, beating Butler, and we just didn't win a game. We were pretty dominant's not the right word, but we were in control most of the way of that game. The final score was really not indicative of the game. It wasn't an 18-point game. It was a 2-point game midway through that second half, and we went on a run to stretch it back out to 12. But then you wish you'd come home right then. Bottle that, practice, gain some confidence, but we weren't able to do any of that. We go back on the road and into a really difficult place to play, and didn't gain much confidence in that for sure. Then the last game was a game that, forget their record, I knew this as a team that been on the road a bunch, and all that gets deceiving. Looking where teams played at, home or away, I think they've been home 2 games all season. And again, it's tough to win on the road. And they were a very capable team. Hadn't shot the ball consistently well all year long, but it don't take but one guy to really get on a roll can change the outcome of the game. That's what happened. In about a 2.5-minute span, they hit 4 threes. In a 5-minute and 20-second span, they hit 6 threes. And they kind of separated themselves enough we couldn't overcome it late in that game.
Talk about patience, but urgency. So how do you approach things, working with these guys on things for you to work on a night? Is it one of those things, one thing at a time to work on, or do you have multiple things?
I wish there was just one thing we had to work on. There's multiple things every day. we just got to continue to find ways to get better at. Don't have the time just to work on, as games keep coming. If we didn't have a game for 2 weeks, we could take one thing and really get better at it. But with games coming, you still got to play the games. So yesterday was a little bit of different practice because we having to just entering the ball a little bit against pressure. We got to adjust with some different personnel coming back. You got some guys who are not very effective in motion, pull away from that basket, and some guys more effective around the hole. Some guys can catch and pass it, and some guys can't catch and pass it. So I've always said, if you ask a guy to pass the ball when he's a bad passer and he turns it over, that's not the player's fault. That's bad coaching. And so you got to be able to mix all that together and find a way still to hide what players can't do and play to their strengths that gives you a chance to compete and win. So when you talk about one thing, it's multiple things. But at the same time, we got to do multiple things because the games are being played. And as we talked about earlier, we got a really good team coming here tomorrow night. A really good team.